just empty.
You don't need a world to feel empty. Sometimes you can really just have a very
Put it down.
linear story. I mean, sometimes the linear stories where like the worlds are smaller, but they don't feel so empty.
Oh, that one you can keep out at all time.
Be the better. Sometimes, you know that meme that's like sometimes things that are more expensive are worse. Sometimes things that are more open world are worse.
All right. Hello. Oh, there was no jump scare today.
No, it was so gentle, so quiet.
That was gentle and quiet?
Like, why is my face so large compared to yours?
Motherfucker, we go over this every week. And you looked at it before.
You make my face the whole size of the screen.
You looked at it before.
I didn't notice. Why am I so zoomed in?
Hold on.
You're not nearly as zoomed in. You guys see this, right? Chat. I know you guys see this. I know you see the difference in the zooming.
This is complicated. I don't know what you want me to do without showing background.
Just leave it.
You could back up half an inch. Now look at that. Would you just look at it?
Right.
Listen.
I hate it.
Oh, of course you do. We do this. I need to make this abundantly clear. We do this every time before stream starts. I FaceTime her, and she double checks. She hates something, we fix it. This time she didn't hate anything, but she hates something, we fix it.
It looks different on the big screen, man. Just looks different on the big screen. All right, I'm having a rough day.
She is. I'm going to be doing most of the talking later on. She's going to have her own portion for Dreamlight. I'm going to talk Rebirth.
I'm very excited about it.
I already put this in the chat for those who are here live. I'm very happy I looked over at OBS because my stream deck just decided, no, I'm not going to press start streaming or press start recording. I'm glad I just happened to glance over. I'm like, something's not right. Oh,
thing here is not correct.
And I was able to fix the error before it happened.
Blake, when do you think we'll get good at podcasting?
Never.
How many episodes do you think we need to become good at the thing that we're doing?
We're on episode 16. I'm going to guess episode 35.
I was going to say 100.
Oh, wow. We're not even going to be episode 100 for like another 3. If we go every other week, we're not going to be there for a very long time. I think we should change to weekly, but I know you're a busy person.
If it's really busy, we can talk about that.
Yeah, I know. All right. We're definitely talking Dreamlight Valley. We're definitely talking Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. First and foremost, we're going to talk about, though, Mario Day was this past Sunday. Huzzah. And Em and I discussed this before the podcast. Miyamoto comes out. He starts talking about the second Mario movie. Weirdly, he just calls it we're making a Super Mario Bros movie. I'm like, we already had one. Why don't you just call it Mario 2 or something?
He didn't call it the sequel.
Yeah, he never did. Which was weird. At one point, though, the man goes, I'm going to let Chris-san take it away. And we both, and including my wife out there, we're like, oh, no. We thought it was Crispy Rat.
Please don't bring him in this.
Luckily, it was not him. It was like the president of Illumination or whatever named Chris.
Something.
I forgot there's a lot of people named Chris.
Turns out it's a fairly common name, but it's like so odd because right, that's not a name you normally hear associated with like Nintendo stuff. You're not waiting for a Chris.
Especially after 2 years ago when we were making a Mario movie. If voice actor Chris Pratt, he's so cool.
He's so cool.
I love that is what stuck with everybody, is that he's so cool.
He's so cool, because it's such a weird thing to say about Chris. you can think he's cool, but it was like they were trying to sell us on Chris Pratt. Like we did not know who Chris Pratt was, and they were like, it's like when you meet somebody and they're like, oh, I'm gonna introduce you to my friend, and you're like, oh, what they're like, and they're like, oh, they're so cool. Don't worry, you're really gonna like them. like we didn't know who Chris Pratt was, and like they were trying to convince us we were gonna like Chris Pratt. He's so cool.
He's so cool. He's not cool. He's not very cool.
Yeah, he's coming up.
We did get some things we asked for. Well, we got one thing we asked for specifically. We got
Release date?
1,000 Year Door release date.
I'm gonna be in Japan when that comes out.
That's May 23rd.
I will be in Japan when that comes out.
You suck. I will be doing that on my own then. It'll be fine.
I will have to wait, either buy it digitally or wait till I get back to purchase it.
Digitally.
Also, before we start, I just want to say I don't think anyone can notice it. I'm noticing it now a little with how zoomed in I am, but if you notice that this eye is like really red, or you think it looks kind of red, that is because it is. I have allergic conjunctivitis at the moment.
See,
so please don't make fun of my eye.
I still haven't noticed it. It's one of those instances where you're always going to notice the thing more than everybody else.
I didn't notice it in OBS, but now that I'm looking at the stream and I can see how large my face is, like when I look at it, I can tell this eye.
I still can't see it. I still can't see it. And I'm looking at the source. Like I'm looking at the Discord call source.
I don't know. I can tell, but I didn't think anybody else would, but just in case. Felt like I should drop that in there.
Just if you want to know about Emily's health.
If you want a health update, my eye's doing some weird, wacky things today, which is also why I'm wearing my glasses today.
How many grams of protein do you eat today? I'm totally kidding. Do not. I don't expect
you
you to.
If you think I count grams of protein that I consume, I don't. I eat food until my tummy says you're good now, and then I stop eating the food.
Yeah, but I do that and I get fat. So, and I get, I don't know. I don't know why this happens to me.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Some people are stronger than others. I usually eat.
Wow.
You're stronger than me.
Oh no, I thought you were saying you're stronger than me.
No, you're stronger than I am. You can take on more. I do try to be strong sometimes, and then I eat more food than I should, and then my tummy gets really upset, and then I don't feel so good. So then I have to be better about not eating more.
Ever since I started dieting, like I give myself like that cheat day. Whenever I have that cheat day, my stomach now starts to hurt. Like it's like, okay, I gotta limit it because this is miserable right now.
It's adapting to a new norm.
And I hate it.
It's like, this isn't part of the norm.
Dude, I went to Walmart 2 days ago. This is my last sidetrack, I promise. I went to Walmart 2 days ago, and they had these, like, cookies and cream protein shakes. I'm like, whatever, I'll try it. Screw it.
Berries and cream.
So I bought it. I had it this morning. It tastes like a milkshake. I'm like, this actually doesn't taste like protein. It tastes like a cookies and cream milkshake that I just got an ice cream shop without the ice cream, obviously. So I was like, I can do this. I can handle this.
You can. I think we should start a podcast off with what we're watching and playing at the moment, because I think that would be fun.
Well, you guys already know what I'm doing, but go ahead.
I just started Persona 3 Reload.
Let's go! And I got yelled at for it. I got yelled at about something for it. Greek mythology.
Oh, because you didn't give me like a huge selling point, which is that like a huge. You didn't include this in your review either.
The
is that like
spoiler? The spoiler.
You spoiled a lot. I mean, I guess you didn't spoil that much for me, but like, and I don't feel like that's a spoiler. That just feels like an intricate part of the plot. That like all of it's like a huge metaphor for Greek mythology. Like the main place you go into is Tartarus, right? Mm-hmm. But then your character, your persona, is Orpheus, who, chat, if you guys are familiar with the story of Orpheus, he descends into Tartarus and plays a lute. I think it's a lyre, actually.
It's a lyre.
It's a lyre, yeah, to like bring his wife back out. So that was neat. And the chair that you sit in the Velvet Room, and then what your persona holds is also a lyre.
So I don't know, I guess you haven't I guess you've only played 5 and started 4, but really haven't gotten far in 4. Every game has a theme. I don't know what 5's is. I never looked. 3's is every persona is based off Greek mythology. That of the main party members, the originals.
Wasn't 5's all like Rebels and Tricksters?
Yeah, yes.
Like, wasn't that why Ryuji's was
Captain
that
Kidd.
one pirate? Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have you're absolutely right. Persona 4's is Japanese mythology.
Oh, that's cool.
Izanagi, and that's the only one I can remember off the top of my head.
I do have one really big complaint about Persona 3 so far. And I did have this complaint about Persona 5 because Joker was a pretty cool kid. And everybody else thought Joker was a pretty cool kid, and he looks like a pretty cool kid. I don't like this protagonist. He starts off he just doesn't react to anything. He has zero reaction. Like, he starts the game in this weird time, and he sees all this blood and all these coffins, and he's like, it's weird, it's a little funky, and then he just keeps on walking. He's like, And then he even like runs into someone who's like, never mention you saw any of this to anyone ever again. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, the coffins out there, man? Like, that's not weird. That's just normal. That's just my daily life. And then, like, to make matters worse, to the fact that he never reacts to anything, he looks like such a dweeb. His outfits are so terrible, and everybody else, unlike Persona 5, where sometimes, like, Yusuke had the worst fashion, Ryuji's fashion was all over the place. Like, some of the girls were hit or miss, depending on the season. Like, everybody else is dressing to the nines, and this kid looks like such a dweeb.
I can't speak on the fashion sense other than it was from 2006. Like, and they decided not to change that.
Everybody else has good fashion. It is the protagonist who has the bad fashion.
Besides the point, what you said before about his lack of reactions. Welcome to the point of a silent protagonist, because it is you and it's your reactions to things.
No. Joker reacted to things. Joker
he did
made
weird
like facial
arm
expressions.
movements.
He did like facial. He did way more than this kid did. Like, this kid, he's not bringing it to the table so far for me. But I'm liking everybody else. So that's what I'm playing at the moment. And I did just finish today the movie Damsel that I've been wanting to see for a while. That just came out with Millie Bobby Brown, Nick Robinson, and Angela Bassett. That is like a weird fairy tale dystopian. If anybody's interested, it's on Netflix. It's a story of Millie Bobby Brown gets married into a very wealthy kingdom to save her people, and it turns out that the people she marries into are evil, and they toss her into a giant chasm that contains a monster as part of this ritual sacrifice they do, and she has to try to escape.
I've never heard of it. I'm gonna have to.
It just came out.
Well, that's probably why I never heard of it. I'm not up to date.
Honestly, anytime that I find a movie under 2 hours that is a pretty fun time, it feels like a win. Because it's so hard to find good movies that are under 2 hours these days. It's hard to find any movie under 2 hours these days, let's be real.
I need to watch The Boy and the Heron now after it beat Spider. I need to watch also Spider-Verse, but after seeing Spider-Man fanboys get very upset, I'm like, yep, I gotta watch The Boy and the Heron because I bet you it slaps.
I've been meaning to watch Boy and the Heron. The second Spider-Verse was very good.
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's really good.
Know there was going to be a third, so the ending was pretty wild for me because we weren't at the end of the story, obviously. So it was a little abrupt and baffling, but it was a really good movie.
So what I'm currently playing, what I played last week was I went back to play Kingdom Hearts 2 again for our good friend here because she was struggling on a very hard Roxas and some gummy ship missions.
Wait. I platinumed Resident Evil 7 for Blake.
Yeah, I know. I was going to come back with that.
Well, that was the thing I played, so I wanted to add it to my section.
Yeah, so we did a little trade-off because I'm a little scaredy boy. I have beaten Resident Evil 7 with Emily holding my hand. She went back and did the platinum for me. And then I finished the Kingdom Hearts 2 platinum for her. Good little trade-off. I think it was fair, all things considered.
Defeating Madhouse was rougher than I anticipated. At first I was like, Blake's got the hard end, and I think at the end he really did have the harder end of the deal. But Madhouse, oh my gosh, it was so rough at the end.
Mine wasn't hard, it was time consuming. Mine was just time consuming.
Okay, that was rough. I had to like reload saves and replay like half of Madhouse all over again to like go back and get a different gun.
You didn't tell me this.
Well, so like you have to do the mine section, and when you get to the end of the mines, there's like a gauntlet where you have to start at the bottom of the gauntlet and then work your way up to the top of the gauntlet. And there's a lot of enemies you have to defeat. And then when you get to the end of that gauntlet, there's 2 of the really big molded that you have to kill.
Mm-hmm.
And they were killing me every time. Yeah. So what I did was I would go through the gauntlet and I would kill everything. And then I would save. I had to like walk back really far to get to a save point. And then I'd go back up the top of the gauntlet. and then fight the 2 molded. But then if I died, I started back at the bottom of the gauntlet and had to like do the walking thing all over again. And I just, everything I tried, I could not kill them. So I was like, I didn't get the magnum because I had the saw thing. So I was like, it was a foolish moment. So I was like, you know what? I just don't think I can do it without the mag. So I had to like go back to before the mines when you could get to the house.
Yeah.
And go back into the house and get the magnum and then get all the ammo I could for it and then do the fight. And then once I got the magnum, it was pretty okay. And then when I got to the final, I did have to do the final EV fight like 2 or 3 times.
Because you were low on ammo.
Yeah, I was really low on ammo. So I ended up using the burner mostly. But it was, most of Madhouse was fine. That last section was really rough.
I greatly appreciate it. Because now I have the platinum. That's my 46th platinum, baby. Out of 75 at the end of the year.
I appreciate you doing Kingdom Hearts 2 for me because I would never want to do that a day in my life.
Well, the funny thing is, when I said I didn't have the platinum, she's like, you don't have the Kingdom Hearts 2 platinum? I have the platinum. And then like a month goes by and she's like, huh, I don't have this platinum.
There was a time when I was going and doing all the Kingdom Hearts platinums, and I did do like 1.5 and 3, and then I was working on the Birth by Sleep in 2. But like, 2 used to be my favorite Kingdom Hearts game, but I realized through that platinum experience, it's not.
2 is a bad platinum.
I don't like that platinum. It's a really rough platinum. I even had for Kingdom Hearts 1, like a notebook of all the materials I still had to synthesize and what I needed in order to synthesize them and where I could find those items. And it was like checking off a list so I could like get all my synthesized. Like I was really committed to Kingdom Hearts 1 in a way I just could not commit to Kingdom Hearts 2.
Well, it's because 2 is just more tedious. One is not easy, but at least it's more enjoyable platinum experience, I would say. Other than the gummy ship stuff, it's pretty enjoyable.
Yeah.
2 just gets way too tedious, and it's way too like you have to do things too precise. Which, crazy enough, spoiler alert, there's going to be some of that when we talk about Rebirth in a little bit, but I'll save the details for that later.
It's a Square Enix special.
Yeah, it's a Nomura special.
You're good, man.
As for watching things, I haven't really watched anything. I need to watch The Boy and the Heron.
You're not much of a watcher.
Not anymore. I used to be. I used to watch something before I met Allison. I used to watch something before I went to bed every night. Now I'm just like, I'd rather play something. I'd rather just play something.
Quick addition to this, and we don't need to talk about this much. I just want everyone to know, in addition to the watching and playing, I'd like to add reading, because I did read one book, and I'm not going to talk about it much. I just want to say it was one of the worst books I've ever read in my life.
I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah, it was a rough one, buddy. Anyway, I just wanted to deliver a really important quote from the book because I think it's really going to set the tone for the rest of the podcast. And it's really going to we're really going to feel good about it.
I don't know anything about this. I need to make that abundantly clear. I do not know what she's about to say.
It was so bad, you guys, but this one line. You're not getting knifed. You're getting wifed. That's it. That's the line. You're not getting knifed. You're getting wifed.
I don't know why. Have you ever heard anybody say the life of the wife ends with the knife? That is what that reminds me of.
Well, that was not the plot. The plot was she was dating a bounty hunter and he was following her home and she was like, he's just checking to make sure I'm not going to get killed by a serial killer. And he's like, her brother's like, you're not getting knifed. You're getting wifed. Like, he's going to marry you. And I was like, it was a really bad book, you guys.
I gotta fix this camera because it's driving me insane. I think we're better now. I think we're good now. Cool.
I guess we can start talking about video games.
Yeah, well, quick news. Video game. I guess I did talk about video games. First story is the lightest story. A dev, I don't know the game studio, whoever's making Stellar Blade accidentally put the Stellar Blade demo live on PSN. A whole bunch of people downloaded it. Yeah, people who downloaded it and got to play a little bit of it, they loved it. They said it's like way better than the trailers made it out to be, which makes me more excited because I thought it looked good. I didn't get to play.
I thought it looked really weeby, but
fucking god,
that was my only criticism.
No, was that the criticism? Was the weebiness, not the blatant fan service?
Oh no, that's baked into the weebiness because part of
fair.
Weebiness is blatant over sexualization and fan service.
That is fair. The thing that the big highlight of this and what people actually were worried about is the fear of the all digital future because of it. Because after I think it was like a couple hours, Sony took it off the PlayStation Store like they should have, And anybody who turned back on their PlayStations got this pop-up notification if they were online saying, hey, this has been removed from your PlayStation 5. They just removed. And that's when we all kind of knew this already, but the thought in their head of you don't own this, you don't own anything, we can just take it away from you at any time, popped into people's head.
Didn't that just happen recently with Disney Plus?
I don't know.
Where they made, like, didn't they make a new Willow movie that was, like, only on Disney Plus? Like, they didn't release it physically, and then it got such bad reviews that they just, like, deleted it from the platform, and you can't watch it anywhere else?
I don't know if that's the same vein, but...
Well, I mean, like, technically, I mean, like, granted, they
kinda,
didn't pay for Willow, but they're paying for the service.
Right.
And, like, people who hadn't gotten to see the movie or liked the movie, they just deleted it from existence like it was never there. So, I mean, like, I feel it's kind of the same of, like... If it's only digital, you don't have the ability to say, like, you know, even if Willow was a really bad movie, you could have gone out and bought the DVD and then played it at home anytime, no matter what Disney thought of it. And now there's just no way to access it at all.
Unless you are a dirty pirate. I guarantee you can find some way to download it. But, I mean, you probably shouldn't. For legal purposes, we do not condone piracy. Disney, back off. Which actually,
Don't come for us, Disney.
Yeah, please. Which brings us to our next story, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. Yuzu, the very popular Nintendo Switch emulator for the past 4 or 5 years, they were sued by Nintendo. They were sued because Nintendo claims that they were a big part in people leaking games early and pirating games early, and even after. When they just developed the emulator, and their only argument for it was they were making money through a Patreon, which of course is a optional thing you can do. You did not have to pay for the emulator. Emulators have always been legal. However, Nintendo used that like, hey, they're making money here. And Yuzu did not go to court. They ended up settling. I think it's like $30 million, something crazy like that.
A lot of money.
It is a lot of money. And they Yuzu is offline. A whole bunch of other emulators are going offline, even including things like from Android in PlayStation, not just Switch, but like Game Boys and stuff like that. Not everything is going offline. Like if you want Dolphin's not going anywhere. Dolphin's going to be here forever. But it is starting a ripple effect. Emulators have always been legal. Piracy has not, but emulators, Nintendo lost a lawsuit over emulators in the past. Because emulators themselves are not illegal to have or develop or download, right?
I feel like Nintendo feels like it has to show its litigation strength whenever it can because of situations like Palworld, where it really can't do anything to like stop it from happening, and everyone's like, oh, they got away with it. So Nintendo's like, oh no, here's all the ways you can't get away with messing with this, essentially. Like when they shut down all those video game bars in Japan.
Yeah, and there's always a ripple effect because they went after Yuzu and everyone else is now running in fear and like we're done. We're not doing it. We're not going to risk this. We don't have $30 million to drop.
So that's an example.
Exactly, and it's a scary example. Nintdo's very, very protective of their IP. But at the same time, neither you just chill. You're a $1 billion company. Calm down. It ain't that serious.
It's not that deep, kiddos. Just let it go.
There was that one dude who was selling modded Nintendo Switches who has to pay them $100 million or just a portion of his, like 75% of his paycheck for the rest of his life.
That's insane.
You didn't hear about that? That was like last year, I think that was finalized. No. He went to prison for like 6 months too. Last story. Oh my goodness. I just had it and now I forgot about it. I brought it up to you. What was it?
The emulator, the leak.
Oh, Spider-Man.
That happened. The Spider-Man game. Yeah.
Spider-Man. You guys knew Insomniac got ransomware a long time ago. Now a whole bunch of things got leaked. Recently, a teaser trailer for a future Spider-Man game got leaked, which was going to be a multiplayer. I don't want to say it was a live service, but it was a multiplayer Spider-Man type game, kind of like Suicide Squad, I would say, like where you have play with 4 different people or whatever. But it was Spider-Man. It was probably going to be good. Insomniac looks like they had a build that was pretty much done with only having to do a few tweaks. But they, after that leak came out, Insomniac pretty much came out and said, we're canceling the project. Project's canceled. I don't know if that's because of the leak. I don't know if they had already planned on canceling it. But it's no longer happening.
To cancel something because somebody got a sneak peek of it.
Yeah, everyone's upset though, because we saw the teaser trailer look good, and everyone's like, "Yeah, this will be sick." And now they're like, "We're not doing it." And I'm like, "Great, wonderful," because that means the ransomware people win. No, it means everyone else loses.
You know, I mean, like, in what scenario do the ransomware people win? Right? I feel like they win just by leaking it.
Yeah, because they're not getting their money.
Yeah, I mean, like, what are they gonna win by not having the game come out, right? Like, the satisfaction is in the reveal.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They're saying they're not releasing the game, or the ransomware people win, which in reality, everyone just loses. So
it's a lose, lose, lose.
Lose, lose, lose. That's all the news. Lose, lose, lose. That's all the news. We're going to take it over to our Dreamlight Valley correspondent, Emily Jean, on the scene, here to talk about the recent updates and new things speculated. How's it over there in the valley, Emily?
It's phenomenal. I opened up the premium shop today, and there was the prettiest fountain with Mickey lifting Minnie in the air. It was freaking adorable. I bought it instantly, and I've been redesigning my valley around this one fountain. But no, there's a lot happening in the world of Dreamlight Valley. There was an update about 2 weeks ago with the Monsters Inc. characters, but there came like a lot of content with that. They made Scrooge's store a lot bigger, and they upped like the randomization, so you're supposed to get more new items instead of just L-shaped couches, which has been working out really well for me. I've been getting so many cool things in my store. They did like a lot of quality of life stuff in terms of dream snaps, your mailbox. There's just been a lot of new things. And then looking forward, there's even more new stuff coming. And this is, I think, something maybe you'll find interesting, Blake, is the next update, which should come in about 2 months, early spring. Probably going to be Daisy, which, that's fine. But there actually comes the second update to the DLC, which is called A Rift in Time. And the second update teased a new character. And it's called, I believe the update's called the Spark of Imagination. You're supposed to meet a very lucky villager. And it, like, when they ended the first part of DLC, they talked about the source, like the origin of imagination, the very start of it. So everyone like, is this Oswald the Lucky Rabbit? Like, he was the first creation of Disney, like, he's lucky, and everyone was like, no, that'd be crazy, because most people don't know who Oswald is. Well,
Oswald's also in the public domain.
Guess what is coming out almost around the exact same time this update is set to
Epic Mickey, baby! Oh, okay.
Epic Mickey is coming out, I think in April, right? And the new update is probably set around April, speculatively. So it seems to be driving the case that Oswald, the Lucky Rabbit, is going to be introduced in the DLC as the origin of imagination within the Disney universe, to go along with the release of the Epic Mickey.
You just reminded me, Epic Mickey's also on my list to come out. Oh my god.
We got a lot of games. Coming out.
How am I supposed to budget in these conditions?
You don't. You simply don't. You just play lots of video games. So I thought that was really interesting, because I was kind of the camp of like, who's gonna bring Oswald? Like, nobody cares about Oswald. Let's be real.
It's a good call. It's a very, very good call.
Yeah, and then I saw somebody comment, "Oh, isn't the Epic Mickey game coming?" And I was like, "Oh, it is gonna be Oswald. It's gonna be Oswald." So that's been a big speculation about who that was. At first, I was like, nah, you guys are taking it too far. It's going to be like Aladdin. He's lucky because he gets the lamp, right? Because we already have Jafar. So that made more sense to me in terms of our storyline. But no, I think it's going to be freaking Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. I don't know how that's going to work out, but... So that should be coming soon. And then also there's going to be like the regular update with Daisy. And we just got Mike and Sully, who are awesome. They're my favorite new additions to the series. I'm having a lot of fun with them.
Do the interim voice actors at least sound similar?
They do.
Okay.
They sound really on par. And I really like all the character animations that came with them. Like Sully does his scary feet. And if he does it in the right place at the right time, he can completely fall on top of and completely conceal Vanellope. Like you can't see her at all. So he'll do like drop to the ground, and if he does it, he can land on top of Vanellope and completely just cover her so it looks like she doesn't exist
So
anymore.
she gets crushed.
She gets crushed. The store update is fantastic. There's just so many good things happening in Dreamlight Valley. If you've put Dreamlight Valley down or forgotten about it, or you were like, like I'm kind of bored, come back, buds. Like, if you enjoyed maybe this is not for Blake specifically, but if you enjoy the decorating and all, there's so many new items. The Scrooge's shop is so much better. You're going to get more content. The new characters are great. There's a lot of new features coming in. A lot of the old star paths are making a return. Like, the items are coming back. So there's just a lot going on. Oswald's coming soon. Daisy's coming soon. There's a lot of hints that Atlantis is coming soon. Something is happening inside of Skull Rock. I'm not sure what that is, but
They're doing Atlantis? I'm shocked that they're doing Atlantis.
it's not for sure they're doing Atlantis. I think it's going to play into the deal. So if you go to the DLC island, there's a door that leads under the water. And everyone's like, "Oh, what's that door? Like, how do we get there?" So that's kind of a hint of Atlantis. But then also surrounding the DLC island are the like giant iron robots, iron guardians from Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1-for-1 remakes of them. So at least that's an Atlantis reference. And then the whole thing is like on an island, and there's like underwater stuff and whatnot. So I think eventually maybe the third part of the DLC might tie into Atlantis.
What breaks my heart is that they'll never bring Treasure Planet because they like to, pretend it doesn't exist. It makes me very upset.
Not. But yeah, so it looks like maybe Atlantis is coming, Oswald, Daisy, and then obviously in the spring and summer we're gonna get Mulan and Tiana.
I don't know why. We mentioned this earlier with Willow, but if Disney's movies review bad, like most people will like brush it off, whatever. If they made a mistake. Disney's like, no, what are you talking? They'll gaslight you into like thinking it never happened.
Or made that movie? We never did that.
They
Why
don't
would
like.
you think that?
They don't like Emperor's New Groove. To them was so much of a nightmare. They don't like to talk about it either. Like the real.
Such a good movie.
It was fantastic.
Such a good movie.
The only reason they keep it around is because it reviewed well. But the development was such a nightmare, and they're hiding that development. They cannot deal with failure at all.
No, they don't deal with it well. I mean, I think there's also been a lot lately with like people being anti-Disney and saying like every movie by Disney flops, but Willow really did flop.
I didn't even know Willow was a movie, if that makes you feel better. So
Willow was a movie. It might have come back as a TV show. I'm mixed. It was like a movie like 25 years ago, something like that. So it was a pretty old movie, and they brought it back as a TV show or something, and then it just did so terribly. They just deleted it completely off the platform.
that tracks.
And they never released it physically, so people couldn't have any access to it. And there are a lot of like apparently really hardcore Willow fans who were like waiting forever for the series, like, and then it was just gone.
So it was like a 90s show movie thing, that 90s movie that became a show.
You know what? Those shows were good though.
Yeah. I mean,
Those shows were good.
I don't remember that one. I mean, obviously I was a child around that time, so.
No. I'm sorry. I might have misspoken. The TV show just came out.
Yeah, no, but the movie back.
The movie was old, but they removed the TV show that they just released.
Yeah. I knew that.
Yeah, but it was like a kind of on that, but it wasn't animated. It was live action.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that I think is even worse because you had a lot of actors who put a lot of time and effort. There's a really famous actor in Willow. I can't think of his name. Warwick Davis. And Val Kilmer.
Oh, yeah, okay, that one. You should have started with that one.
Well, Warwick Davis is the main character. He is the titular character, Willow.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say him first.
That's fair. But
I didn't even know Val Kilmer was in it until I like looked it up, and it was like, oh, so Val Kilmer, and I was like, oh, yeah. So there's a lot of like big name people in this that they were just like, it did really bad, and they took it down.
You know what's the last thing we talk about for this, for like something like that? The Madam Webcast all said they all thought it was Marvel making it, and they all said do not go see it. And I think that's hysterical. They're like, we were in this. You don't have to watch it.
I don't know anyone who has said anything good about that film, including Dakota Johnson.
Yeah, because it's another Morbius situation, but Madam Web now.
Yeah, I'm just like, it sucks, right? Because you want the female-led superhero movies to do well, so people can shut up about like not wanting to watch female-led superhero things. So it sucks that it did so poorly, but yeah, from what I've seen, even just like little clips here and there, it just looks awful.
Well, that's
does
because
not look like worth it.
Sony wants to remind people, hey, we own superheroes too, and then they ruin it. I'm looking at you, 2016 Fantastic Four, or 2015.
Oh, that was a really bad movie. That was a really bad movie.
It was the worst.
You know what? Batman versus Superman was bad. Justice League was bad.
Yep. All bad.
Well, the only one I liked was Wonder Woman.
But that now all the DC ones, those were all WB, I think. They weren't Sony, but still.
Oh, all right. Well, the only non-Marvel, I guess, I'll just make it the only non-Marvel superhero movie I've really enjoyed was Wonder Woman.
I did like Wonder Woman.
Here. This doesn't include like the OG Spider-Man movies, even although.
Wait, what do you M? What are you trying to say about Tobey Maguire?
Spider-Man 1 and 2 were fine. 2 was better. 3 was awful, and you know it. I know it. We all know it. 3 was a bad movie.
I'm gonna throw some dirt in your eye.
You don't think Spider-Man 3 was a bad movie?
1, I just quoted Spider-Man 3. 2, I think it's bad like the Star Wars Episode 3 is bad. It's got some very good charm to it. It's the so bad it's good camp that I really enjoy watching it.
I'm sure.
I really enjoy it.
You can live through the dance scene, like you can turn.
Oh, I laugh every time. I have a good time.
And you don't like curl up and die internally and have to like walk away.
I'll dance with them.
Okay, but this is what it means. Some people are stronger than others.
The biggest crime, though, you said 2 was fine. No, 2 is still regarded as the best Spider-Man movie of all time.
2 was very good. I shouldn't have said fine. 2 was very good. I think 1 was fine. I had medium feelings on 1. 2 was my favorite, and then 3 was just awful.
1, I will say, was good only because it was the best superhero movie of all time when it came out. Because it was, yeah. And so given for the time, I'll give it that. Especially when you have something like Howard the Duck from the 1980s, which is a Marvel movie that you should never watch.
Okay, good to know.
All right, let's move on. Anywho, we're done talking about superheroes. This was a weird segment that we never intended.
It was. I also just want to say Andrew Garfield was also a phenomenal Spider-Man.
I know. People shit on the second Andrew Garfield movie. I liked it. I don't know why people shit on it.
The second one was fine. The first one was and will probably always be my favorite Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. But I think they were better than Tobey Maguire one. So
I won't go that far. I won't agree because Tobey Maguire is my Spider-Man, but that's fine. That's I'll
hashtag not my Spider-Man. No.
I'm in a text group with some friends from Florida that's called Not My Spider-Man, Mario, or King, because we were talking about Chris Pratt as Mario, Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and the King of England.
You gotta get out of here. Those three are not on the same level.
Oh no, it's because they were talking about
Chris Pratt and King of England. I'm not giving you Tom Holland.
Oh no. We
does not belong with Chris Pratt.
The reason we did that because we all of us actually do like Tom Holland, but me, Allison, and our friend Mitch all agree that Toby's is our favorite, and Mitch's wife Julie prefers Tom Holland, and so she put Not My Spider-Man there.
She's right. Tom Holland or Andrew Garfield. Tobey Maguire is my least favorite.
You're wrong, but it's okay. It's okay to be wrong. All right, we're gonna talk about Rebirth. Crazy enough that fans loved Cloud from the Kingdom Hearts series so much that they gave him his own game. Cloud from Super Smash Brothers originally. I'm done.
You mean Kingdom Hearts? Yeah,
right? Both.
I see. I thought he was in Kingdom Hearts first, and they were like, "Wow, everyone really liked his side character in Kingdom Hearts so much they put him in Smash Bros." Isn't that weird?
And then
Really
they made
weird?
him his own game. Great! I'm gonna get crucified.
They didn't do that for Zack. Isn't that sad? Like, I really liked Zack.
No, they did make a game for Zack. It's on
they
PS5.
Good for him. Good for him. I'm so happy.
Wait,
I kind of thought it was over for him when he gets turned into a feather in Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3, whatever game he's
Birth by Sleep.
That's it, because he asked Aqua out and then he gets turned into a feather. So I kind of thought it was over for him, but like, good to know. Good to know. I wonder who got him out of that spicy pickle.
I had to think about it. Did Crisis Core come out on PSP first? No. I mean, yes. Crisis Core came out and then it was Birth by Sleep. Crazy enough. I played both those games on PSP. Wild. Okay, Final Fantasy VII. It has a wild, long history.
Okay, well, no, specify which Final Fantasy VII we're talking about.
The original. We're going to talk about the OG.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the all over-encompassing, because there's a lot of pieces to Final Fantasy, but in terms of Remake and Rebirth, it all is supposed to stem from the OG, with the understanding that you know some other things. You don't have to play the other games, but you know some things from the other things that they've released after the OG. Final Fantasy VII came out in 1996. Huge hit. It's pretty much credited as the savior / revival of JRPGs in the West, because sales for JRPGs were so low in the West until Final Fantasy VII came out, and then interest re-sparked because of it. Final Fantasy VII has a wild story, and I'm not going to spoil any of it because I do want Emily to play Remake and Rebirth, and then eventually the rest of the trilogy / it could be a 4-gamer. I don't know. It's a very, very interesting story. I think
at that point it's just a series.
Yeah, I thought
so there's a standalone, there's a duology, a trilogy, and then a series.
Yeah, so it might be a series. From what we hear, it might be a series only because, and I don't know where Rebirth ends yet. I haven't finished it, but from what I've heard, it ends at a place that doesn't make sense to make it a trilogy unless they make the third game very long. So original Final Fantasy VII, it's about a 40-hour JRPG. Okay? Don't spoil it. Don't tell me. Oh wait, I thought you were telling me where it ends. Oh, never mind. You can continue.
Yeah. You know me. I'm gonna come out here and tell you where
I was like,
the
what
game
are you doing?
haven't played ends. Yeah, sure. That's information I definitely have, and was going to spoil live on stream for you and anyone who hasn't played this game yet.
It's gonna be so bad. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's a tetralogy.
Oh, a tetralogy. Yeah, everyone knows that.
Name for a compound work that is made up of 4 distinct works is a tetralogy. Tetralogy.
Well,
it's tetralogy.
Yeah, tetra means 4.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna call it a series.
That's probably easier.
Final Fantasy VII, very, very popular in 1996. It's about a 40-hour experience from beginning to end. It was so popular, it got a whole bunch of spin-offs. It got a prequel, which was it got a couple prequels that were very important. It got sequels that were not so great. Dire Cerberus. Also, a movie, Advent Children. People don't like it. I loved it as a kid. I haven't watched it as an adult, so I'm kind of afraid to. But
because then you'll be like, oh, this was actually really bad.
Yeah, that's what I don't want to do. I thought it was sick when I was a kid. I thought it was...
Well, then leave it there. Maybe you'll rewatch it and you'll be like, wow, this is still sick. I was right.
Actually, crazy enough, going back to the PSP, that released as a PSP like movie when they did those, and I got that on the PSP as well.
Sure, that was an experience.
Oh my goodness. But it's evolved a lot. It's obviously the most popular Final Fantasy. It's the most famous. It's not my all-time favorite, but I understand it. Understandably, sure. Back in I think it was 2013 when we first heard about Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out. Like, that was the big reveal announcement. And we didn't get it until 2019. Crazy. Insanity. And the way that they're setting Final Fantasy VII Remake is it's the original Final Fantasy VII, but broken up into parts so they can expand on each part. Example. The beginning of Final Fantasy VII, you start in Midgar, the Midgar area, which is the town, the big opening you see. That is about 10 hours in Final Fantasy VII original. In Remake, that is the only part you're doing is Midgar, and they do it to 40 hours. And what they do in that 40 hours is they explain a lot more of the plot. They express more of the characters. They obviously give you more to do, like more things to explore, instead of the basic things you did in Vanilla 7. I really enjoyed Remake when it came out in 2019 or 2020? Whichever, I don't know. I think it was early 2020 when it came out. I enjoyed it when it came out. I had a great time. I had some gripes with Remake, and those gripes were some of the characters felt flat, like one-dimensional.
2020.
Yeah, it was 2020. Some of the characters felt flat and one-dimensional. The story was very... I expected it to be linear because it's a remake of an original game. Some pieces felt very, very linear. And some of the expansions were just okay. I didn't dislike it. And I thought overall that game was an 8.5. Rebirth took all my complaints and fixed everything. Like, nice. My God, this game, Rebirth starts right after what happens in, obviously, Remake and Midgar for Final Fantasy VII. Sure. I'm going to specify this. Remake, the end of Remake and parts of Remake does hint at a change of story. We don't know what that is yet. I've seen bits and pieces of Rebirth, not going to go into details. But you can tell Nomura's being Nomura. He's trying to do something new, right? And I'm kind of excited to see if he makes changes, or my theory is that we're going to have multiple endings and branching paths. Like
I would like that. That would be fun. So then people who like the original could still have it, but then people who wanted something new could get that as well. Yeah,
the big theme of Remake is fate, and not going with fate. So I think there's going to be a way where it branches off. You can play Final Fantasy VII Remake like the original Final Fantasy VII, go the normal route. You can change this to where this doesn't happen, and I'm going to be very curious to see where it goes.
What they do with it.
Right. So what does Rebirth do? Rebirth makes... People call it open world. I don't want to call it open world. I don't think that's fully correct. I call it open world light. You're still in a chapter format like you are with Final Fantasy VII Remake, except for there's different areas that are open areas that you can travel back to at any time, but it's not all connected, and you can't just run all the way back and forth. And each open area in the different chapters, I'm on chapter 9, and I've gone to 3 open areas so far. Each of them have a various series of things you can do, so you can explore, you can find new enemies, you can, discover things. Like, there's a lot to do in those areas. So, first and foremost, the linearity portion is gone. It's still chapter-based, but it doesn't feel linear as before.
Linear.
Right. Obviously, It's still linear in the fact of its story, but I never have minded linear story. Linear story is never, because you look at Kingdom Hearts, look at Persona.
Zelda.
The linear story has not bothered me. This is the reason I don't like Final Fantasy 13 specifically, is because I call it the hallway Final Fantasy, because you're going down a straight path, and they're like, here's a map. Oh, you can only go down this sliver the entire time. So why are you giving me the map? What's the point?
I don't like that at all.
I couldn't finish it for that very reason. And maybe I'm missing something besides the point. So yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's open world light. I don't like using it as open world because when I think open world, I'm thinking Ghost of Tsushima, I'm thinking Fallout, I'm thinking Skyrim.
Tsushima still, for being an open world, still had a linearness to it that, if you remember, the island was broken up into 3 distinct parts, and you could only continue on to the next part when you had completed the story within that area. And the story, you couldn't even get to the 3rd part until after the huge turning point. So when I think open world, I think it's something like Breath of the Wild, where it's you can go anywhere at any point and do anything.
Yeah.
And I think the fallback for open world is that because you can go anywhere and do anything, the stories can often be very short and flat. Looking at you, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes. Yeah, 1,000% agree. And also with those things, the world feels empty. There's a lot of points that feel just empty.
You don't need a world to feel empty. Sometimes you can really just have a very
put it down
linear story. I mean, sometimes the linear stories where the worlds are smaller, but they don't feel so empty.
Oh, that one you can keep out at all times.
Be the better. Sometimes, that meme that's sometimes things that are more expensive are worse. Sometimes things that are more open world are worse.
Yeah, I will agree. I've had open world fatigue forever. This does
Also, who also was annoyed they didn't announce the Switch port on Mario Day for Wind Waker? I was.
Thank you for doing these, because this helps me put an intro for every podcast. I just cut the part where you talk about Wind Waker ports, and I just put it at the beginning.
You'd think if there was one time they were going to announce a Wind Waker port, it would be on Mario Day.
I don't think so, no. Okay, so that was one gripe fixed. Loved it.
Okay.
Lots to do. The second thing, and the biggest thing, every single character, all your playable characters, Barrett, Tifa, even Cloud himself, Red 13, Aerith, they all have way more of a personality now.
They're not just like 2D boring.
Yeah. Now, some of them didn't in Remake. Like, characters like Barrett and Tifa, I'll even say Aerith, did not feel one way. Cloud felt very one-dimensional. Like, he was the biggest outlier in one. In
Seems on par, though.
Well, that's the thing. In the original Kingdom Hearts made him an emo little boy. Original Final Fantasy VII, he wasn't that way.
He was like a happy boy?
He wasn't quite a happy boy, but he wasn't so stiff.
Well, in Kingdom Hearts 1, he had trauma. He was a traumatized boy.
Yeah, he was I mean, he's technically a traumatized boy here, but I'm not, once again, no spoilers.
It's like Leon in Resident Evil 2 versus Leon in Resident Evil 4. There's some trauma that happens in the middle somewhere.
I think the reason it doesn't feel as bad in Final Fantasy VII versus Remake is because that portion's only condensed down in 10 hours in the original game. You know what? I never even thought about that.
All right, but I mean, like, to be fair, Resident Evil is like a 2.5-hour game.
Yeah, and Final Fantasy VII is a 40-hour game.
So, different experience.
So, but I mean, given Final Fantasy VII, like, original, he does, open up more. And that's what I see in Rebirth. He has got a lot more of a character. He still has that, like, I'm cooler than everyone attitude. And I'm like...
Well, his name is Cloud.
What?
If my name was Cloud, I'd be like, whoa, I'm so much cooler than everyone. If my name was Cloud and I had the sword that Cloud has, and I just walked around and was like, yeah, my name's Cloud, this is my giant sword, I would think I was cooler than everybody else too.
They brought back my God, Emily, I can't with you.
Are you telling me I'm wrong? Like,
no, that's what I hate.
If your name was Cloud and you were carrying around the sword that he has everywhere you went, like, it's gotta give you an ego.
I hate
of
the fact,
some kind.
I hate the fact that you've asked me about a sword and I can't tell you why he has that sword, because that's actually a story element.
Unfortunate. Okay. It looks really dumb. It is instant. Like, like Kingdom Hearts, they always have the joke, like, his boot too big for he got dang feet, right? Like, and his sword too big for human arms to carry.
We can go back to Kingdom Hearts too, and this is my favorite game series of all time. The dude uses a key. All right, hold on.
Okay, that doesn't make. But you could say the magic, right? It's not sharp, but the magic does it. It's still like the size. I mean, some of them are larger, but for the most part, they're still maybe a slightly oversized sword. Yeah. Cloud is just on another level. It's something unimaginable. No human on Earth would be able to wield that sword.
Not with that attitude.
It's just, the answer is just no. Unless it is hollow inside. No. I'm sorry, no.
So, moving right along, he has a lot more. He cracks jokes. He starts to get to know his companions. He's getting to know, Tifa a little bit more, even though he's known Tifa since childhood and Barrett and all these people. Barrett always going to be my number one boy, because Barrett has two things in mind. One, it's killing the planet. Two, my daughter Marlene is the sweetest little thing I ever seen.
He wants to kill the planet?
No. The things the evil group are doing is killing the planet.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, side note, if anybody says take politics out of my video game, and while they're playing, anything but says Final Fantasy VII is a great game, you obviously were not paying attention to the whole plot of Final Fantasy VII. Like,
I did know that about Final Fantasy VII. I did know the overarching plot was that, like, aren't they eco-terrorists?
No, your group they call you eco-terrorists because you're trying to save the planet, essentially. There's a lot more to it than that. That's just the generalization of the beginning.
I don't know Tifa well, but sometimes she gives real Ada vibes.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. You hate
bad.
Ada. No,
bad.
Okay. I need you, I need you when you play this, forget everything your friend told you. Because here's the thing. I text your friend about this, and everything she said was just so wrong. I think she switched Aerith and Tifa's personality. I'm so sorry to that friend. She called.
I'm gonna clip this and send it to her.
She called Tifa pick me. And I'm like, that is literally Aerith throughout the entire game all the time. So, like...
I've seen clips of Tifa, and she dresses like a pick-me.
That's no.
All right. We'll see.
Tifa just wants her old friend back from childhood. Anywho.
She's just one of the guys. She's the best friend. She's not like the other girls.
Side note, not main story thing. In Chapter 8 and Chapter 12, depending on who you have more affinity with, you go on dates with them. I just started Chapter 8, and of course I got Tifa as I planned because best girl. And so things are going swell.
Are you sure you just don't like Tifa because she's kind of got like a goth look about her?
No, that's not why. She's just a better character overall. I think that's the big thing. I don't dislike Aerith. I think Aerith is fine. I think the problem I have is that the people who say Cloud and Aerith are supposed to be together do not understand the overarching story, and I can't go any further than that because it just cannot work for obvious reasons.
I just have to play the game. I just have such a bias against Tifa because my friend has told me nothing but bad things about her for so long. She and I usually have very similar opinions about characters.
I just need you to trust me.
But by telling you to trust you, you're telling me to not trust my other friend.
I need you to trust yourself to make your own opinion and not let the bias take over.
That's fair. That's fair. I can do that. I can do that.
Okay. I'm gonna break rule and look at chat. That is a very correct statement. Never trust me. I'm an idiot. Anywho. All right, continuing on. I love everything they've done so far. The game is gorgeous. There's not a part where I'm like, this looks bad. Square Enix does this thing where they make their cutscenes look really, really good, and the main gameplay looks pretty good. But
I'm familiar with it.
Kingdom Hearts 1 is the biggest, like, offender.
ProCD has a video about that where, like, I always call it Sora's sticker face. Where, like, there's 3 levels of cutscenes. There's, like, the intro and outro, which are, like, 20 years ahead of their time and, like, the most beautiful thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then they have, like, the standard cutscenes that they put a little bit of work into where it's, like, voice acted and there's, like, some facial animation, just, like, a little. And then they have what I call the sticker faces, where there's no spoken word, just text bubbles. And they just slap the sticker on for the face. And sometimes just go...
Well, the crazy thing is, even in the ones that are not text bubbles where they actually are talking, they sometimes switch between sticker face and having fully animated mouths for Kingdom Hearts.
Love Sora sticker face. The internet didn't know. I tried to Google it and everyone else just gave me like actual stickers of Sora. Why doesn't anybody else know the sticker face?
Look it up in your own time. I'm running out of time, big time. I need to go. Everything looks beautiful. Back to what the point I was trying to make. Every cutscene and the game, they don't look super discernible from each other. It all is one cohesive, beautiful piece of art. The only time I think the characters' faces aren't expressive is when you're running around with them and zoomed out of them, so you're not paying attention to their faces anyways.
I think that's fair. I think that's normal.
Yeah, and that's like the only time I've noticed like this looks off. I will say Square has some work to do with hair animations because for some reason, both in Final Fantasy VII Remake and this one, the top of all their hair, of Cloud's hair specifically, is like a weird fuzzy blurry effect. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. But those are things I've noticed.
Hair is like the hardest thing for animators to get right.
That and water.
It's really, they can't, yeah, that and water. They really just can't, they can't quite get it.
It's fine. And water's gotten better. Okay, so yeah, quickly talk about pros and cons. The pros, gorgeous. Second, a lot of character being fleshed out. I love the fact that a lot of things that were not fleshed out in the original game because, you know, limitations at the time, characters being fleshed out. You're meeting new characters that are just, they're side characters. They're not important to the overall plot, but they're there and they feel like there's actual people around and it's not just empty.
Sure. Better
And
landscapes.
Right.
Better
exactly.
world building.
Yes. And your own characters have really, really good development. There's really good side missions. I never got bored with any of the side missions or side thing collectible. Don't want to call them collectibles, but collectibles to find.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. 4, Queen's Blood. That's all I have to say. It's the card game introduced in this game. It's the card mini game that I don't really usually like card mini games in games. Like I didn't play whatever it was in Witcher 3. I love Queen's Blood because once you figure it out, it's a blast to just destroy everybody in it. And it's not that hard to figure out after your first couple rounds. It's a really, really fun
good mini game. I like a good mini game.
And I can't wait to see how it continues. Also, Chapter 8, where I'm at, the Golden Saucer, which is obviously in the original, makes Disney World look like a shitty budget theme park. Take that, Disney. Do better.
Do with that what you will, Disney.
Make my theme park more like the Golden Saucer in Final Fantasy VII. Now my cons. There are very few. There are very few cons. First and foremost, I mentioned a mini game I loved.
It just looks like Vegas.
It's you have to look at every piece. Like the hotel that you stay at, it's a haunted house hotel, and it feels like the Haunted Mansion at Disney, but on steroids and crack.
All right, this kind of just looks like Vegas, but I'll believe you.
Okay, cons. I mentioned a minigame I really like. The problem I have is that there are too many minigames. When you get to Chapter 6 and you get to Coastal del Sol, there's a lot of minigames there. And after that, I'm in the Golden Saucer. I love the Golden Saucer. There's another like 6 or 7 minigames there. And there were minigames before, like there was like 1 or 2 per chapter. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I can handle that. I don't even want to say per chapter. It's actually 1 or 2 per like big area you can explore. But like when I got to Costa del Sol and there was like 4, and now I'm at Golden Saucer and there's like 6 or 7, it's too many mini games. Especially if you're trying to platinum the game, you have to get the top rank on all of them, and it's not like it will take me a couple tries. I'm telling you, there are certain things like the one I did on the stream a few weeks ago, the frog jumping mini game, took me an hour and a half. And that's over like 20 attempts. There's a limit. I think mini games.
If you're going to include those, they should just be for fun. You shouldn't have a trophy attached to them, or like have it attached to one mini game to be like, oh, you got the top rank in one mini game, right? Like, but to add that many and then make it a requirement, it's just like you're killing the fun part of it.
Yeah. It's just so much. It's just so much. Second con, forgot the pro. You can pet baby chocobos. You fixed or said you can pet baby chocobos.
I like that.
I love it.
I like that. It's always a good game when you can pet something.
It's wonderful. I love it. Also, one more con. My God, I forgot about this too. Final Fantasy VII Remake had an issue where I felt like I was not doing damage, even though I was. Like the health bar was barely going down. I didn't understand the battle system.
Was it satisfying?
Right. Rebirth fixes that, and it feels like I'm actually doing stuff. It feels like I'm actually. It explained the battle.
Feels
system
like you're not
better.
just button mashing.
Exactly.
It's almost like I think video games now, I think we've reached a point where video games should start introducing more to the battle strategy than button mashing. I think something really interesting that if a game could do this and pull it off, it would be really cool. If they made a way like you were holding the weapon and you could do like horizontal slashes or vertical slashes
Stop. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
What? I don't know what you mean. I think if a game could do that, it would be really interesting.
Whatever.
to make it feel more satisfying when you kill an enemy, like you had to like put some thought into it and think of like the strategy and then like actually do the motion. That would be really cool. I'd like to see that someday.
Second con, first con was too many mini games. Second con, and the reason I went back to pros for a second. Second con is that I don't love riding Chocobo back is great if you're trying to get somewhere fast, but steering it can get a little clunky at times. It doesn't feel that great, especially if you're trying to stop. A hard stop is like shockingly difficult. It's not.
That feels realistic though. That feels on par for riding a Chocobo.
There are certain things that I don't want to feel realistic.
You're not driving a car, Blake. You're riding a wild animal.
Third con, and this is because I looked at the trophy guide because someone released it like 2 days after release day. I'm like, oh, I wonder like what they said the difficulty was. It's an 8 out of 10 difficulty, and it will take over 200 hours. And I'm kind of like sitting here like, this is not going to happen this year. This is going to have to wait till next year. I can't.
That's awful.
Nope.
Sounds awful.
Like, there's too much. Overall, my ranking for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I haven't finished.
Everybody.
This can change. I give it a 9.2.
I appreciate you sticking to
3.
the 10th decimal place. Dang.
I give it a 9.2. I give it a 9.2.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you ever use the 100th or 1000th, I want you to explain exactly what went into that point, what something, to make it that like extra 0.03.
I put it right behind Persona 3 Reload, but I think that's just because I'm a bigger Persona fan now than I am a Final Fantasy fan.
But Persona 3 Reload has the ugliest protagonist.
Oh my god.
You know how important aesthetics are to me, and it's so hard to play as a protagonist who's not only not expressive in any way, but is so ugly.
Guys,
I started this the other day and was telling Blake the things I liked and the things I didn't like about it, and I was like,
so far it's only the protagonist.
It's true. You play as Joker, and like, you definitely don't feel like the hottest kid in school, but like, you're tall, you're like fairly like generically attractive. Like, I think if you saw Joker in real life, you'd be like, oh, he's kind of cute. You got like okay fashion sense, nothing crazy, but like, especially the people around you are mostly fine. Like, Makoto's fine, Ryuji's fine, Yusuke's ugly. Like, you're more attractive than the men around you, and like the women are fine. This dude is the lowest of the group. They are all fashion icons. They're all taller than him. They're all more fashionable than him. They're all like have like his hair is terrible. It's a weird color and it lays. He's got like the Justin Bieber haircut.
I need you to lay off my boy. He is an He is an orphan.
That doesn't excuse him to be.
He had no parental figures to help him through this hard time.
I am going to show you guys this photo of this protagonist.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you'll be able to see this because, like, the glare of my screen.
Oh, I can see it.
Light. But, like...
You can't see his face, but, like, I don't hate it like she does. I don't hate it.
He's wearing these dorky little headphones, like,
that was 2006. That was everywhere.
They're screaming to be freed. Look at these headphones. They are screaming to be freed.
And those were the
headphones like
back in 2006.
Begging. Do you see the little face on them? Oh, you can't see it on the screen. They're begging to be freed. And then look at her. Fashion icon. And then you got these two dudes. Also fashion icons.
Wait, what do you think about Mitsuru? Redhead.
She's beautiful. She's beautiful. I haven't seen her like casual outfit yet, so she's only wearing the school outfit, which is also looks good on. Honestly, I think anything would look good on her. But I have to see. It's really the judgment call. Like when I see their like daily outfit, where I'm like, are you a fashion icon or no? And the people in Persona 5 felt like normal people. Like some of them were dressed fine, some of them dressed up, some of them were dressed down, some of them were dressed confusingly. Everyone in Persona 3 is dressed like a fashionista except for the protagonist, and it's so upsetting. It's so upsetting.
I think I just need you to put your current day bias aside and remember they tried to make this as faithful to the original as possible from 2006.
It's not the faithfulness.
Well, the headphones
because
specifically.
Everybody else, no, the headphones don't bother me. Everybody else.
You just said they did.
It's the little face they have on them that's like, ooh, freebie. Everybody else is still a fashion icon, even from their original outfits. Original outfits are still a fashion icon. This is not something that was lost in the bringing from the original to the remake. This is how they've always had it. That girl still was a fashion icon in the original, I bet you.
Well, yeah. The only thing specifically I was talking about was the headphones and I guess the flip phones too, but I guess that doesn't matter.
Joker was cool. This kid feels like he accidentally stumbled into the cool kids club, and they haven't realized yet that he doesn't belong there.
On that note, yeah, everybody, I asked Emily to give me daily updates on Persona 3 Reload, so I'm hoping to hear as far as she gets.
I haven't played today. I didn't play today.
I figured you didn't.
I maybe play a little before bed. Quite honestly, the Dreamlight Valley store updated, and I got that fountain that I was telling you about earlier, and that's been my day. It's been my free time today was decorating around that fountain. Also, something I didn't mention when we were talking about news earlier, and I guess this isn't technically news, it's more like a rumor. But for those of you who are into the Resident Evil series and have been keeping track of the Resident Evil remakes that are coming out, that they've been working on, they've previously stated they're working on several at the moment, and recently they did just make some alterations to the Resident Evil 5 Steam page. I believe they added, in parentheses, after 2009, I think they removed a bunch of stuff, which, if you look at past history, was exactly what they did before they announced the Resident Evil 4 remake. They made those same changes to the Steam page. So keep an eye out, because we could potentially be getting some Resident Evil 5 remake news.
I thought
soon-ish.
People didn't like 5.
No, it's a terrible game. It's a terrible, racist, awful game. So if they did 5, they're going to have to rewrite it. I don't know how they're going to get around it unless they just kind of stick to their guns. But this is where it gets tricky, right? Because 1 is a classic, and they still have to technically remake the remake. And then 2 and 3. 2 was always insanely good. 2 was an instant classic. 3 was always good, but not as good as 2. Everyone still liked it a lot. It's my personal favorite. And then 4
Carlos.
was considered Carlos, man. It makes that so good. I'm telling you all, if you had put Carlos in Resident Evil 4, that game would have been over in 10 minutes. He would not have been swayed by any bioterrorist lady.
Ada.
And then 4 obviously is considered one of the greatest video games of all time. And then you got to 5, and it was bad. And then you got to 6, and it was worse. And so they stopped making new Resident Evil games for a while. They pretty much scrapped everything. And then they came back eventually with 7, which was the soft reboot of the series.
Which I don't think they're going to remake 7.
No. The graphics of 7 are still pretty up there. I mean, they're not quite as sharp as they are now, but I still think they're considered modern day.
Yeah, well, when you were here, I was even thinking when you were going through it, I'm like, this still looks really good for a PlayStation 4 game that came out in 2017.
Yeah, and so now really all they have to do 1, 5, 6, and then people are still really calling for a Code Veronica remake. I think there's Zero Revelations people really want. Code Veronica still has really outdated controls, which I think is people really want that one. But, so yeah, essentially, I think they said they're working on 9 projects right now, or they have maybe 5, maybe I'm mixing those up, but they're working on a lot of projects, which we're assuming is Resident Evil 9, and then probably 1 or 2 remakes at the moment, but it looks like we weren't sure if they were going to go back to Resident Evil 1 and remake that again, if they were going to just continue on with 5, but it's looking like it's going to be 5 based on the activity on the Steam page, so...
Capcom...
Keep an eye out.
Capcom remaking Resident Evil 5 is when an unstoppable force, Capcom, because right now they're on a roll, meets an unmovable object. How terrible RE5 was, according to speculation. I've never played it.
They're gonna have to rewrite it. They're gonna, honestly, I don't see the plot of it, and you'll just be able to get this based on just the generic plot, how bad this game was. The plot is Chris Redfield goes into Africa and starts killing the local tribes there because they are infected with the parasite and are evil now. So the native tribes of Africa are the villains, and you kill the native people, and they ride on motorcycles, and they kill Chris Redfield, the white guy who enters Africa to kill them all.
I thought, isn't 5 also not scary? 5 and 6 were not scary?
I think they were scary. I haven't played 6. I did not think 5 was scary. I thought 5 was frustrating to play. It's co-op.
Yeah.
And I thought the story was bananas and weird. There's literally parasitic zombies driving motorcycles and swinging chains at you. And then other times you're in the middle of like a native village with them shooting poison darts. It was such a weird game, and I don't think it was good at all. And I think it had some really not even undertones, just really racist,
blatant racism,
just blatant racism. So I think, especially like I think there was a little bit of scrutiny when it came out. Obviously not as much, but like trying to re-release that game in 2024 or 2025. They're gonna have to do something, otherwise like I think they're not gonna get the sales that they want, especially coming fresh off the Resident Evil 4 remake, which as we know did phenomenally well.
On that note, I'm gonna cut us for the after party. It's after party time now. Make sure, please, and I'm gonna beg here a little bit. Please like, comment, subscribe, help us.
Smash that like button.
Listen,
smash it.
My goal. The Nintendo podcast lost their co-host, one of the co-hosts, and one of them is now just inviting guests on. I just want to be invited as us to be guests on the Nintendo podcast. I've been considering just reaching out to him. I mean, like, look,
we'll be that. We got to get our shit together before then. They'll open it and they'll start and they'll see us complaining about me complaining about the webcams, and they'll be like, oh, "These people are not ready for them. They're not ready for prime time."
He will love you because he's a big Zelda guy.
I love Zelda. Play this video game, you guys. Play this video game.
He's a big Zelda guy. Screw it. I'm gonna try to reach out to him in like a week and see what happens.
Tell him Skyward Sword's Tell him Skyward Sword's my favorite Zelda game, and he'll be like, "This girl's stupid," and then he'll want to know more. I've learned that that's a really effective medium for starting conversation, is telling people your favorite Zelda game is Skyward Sword.
He's also an Aussie who moved to the U.S.
Oh, so he makes terrible choices with his life.
He moved to Canada first, and then he moved to the U.S.
So he's continually making worse choices.
We're never getting on that podcast now. It's over for us. Anywho.
It's crazy choices out there, bud.
Anywho, like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Help us get better at this. Promise we're going to. Also, follow me on Twitch. Twitch.tv/BeardedBlake Link down below. You can follow her too. Also link down below. EmilyJean33, even though she hasn't streamed in like a month and a half.
Oh, life's been busy. I've been in DC for a week.
You came here for 3 days?
A few days. Yeah, like, it's busy, man.
That all being said, we love your faces. We're going to after party. Okay, bye. Bye, everyone. Don't do anything stupid.
Or do. I mean, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm not here to tell you who to be.